The Met is comprised of 6 small schools, 4 schools on a site in South Providence that's completely open with no fences and bars around it, and a field, a community field with a walking, running track. And we did a needs assessment of the community when we first came here and found certain things would enhance what would be going on in the community. So we put a performance center, a TV studio, a school-based health clinic, a culinary kitchen, and a fitness center, along with our 4 small schools that we would be able to use, as well as the community would be able to use 7 days a week, from 7 in the morning till 10 at night, in the summer and on the weekends. And that was important because we wanted this to be a new iteration of a community school.
What's important about this project has mostly to do with the points where it departs from what has come to be known as a factory model school. Most of the schools that have been built in the last 70 or 80 years have been based on a model of what we call a double-loaded corridor, which means there's a hallway with classrooms on either side and all the classrooms are the same size, as if all teachers teach the same and as if all students learn the same.
The biggest challenge was getting over the community skepticism that a facility like this would ever be built in a community like South Providence. This is a community that has seen a lot of disinvestment as opposed to investment. And when it was suggested that the state was going to build a $20 million facility in the heart of South Providence, a lot of people took a wait-and-see attitude with a great deal of cynicism that it would ever happen. So the attitude was, well, we'll believe it when we see it.
But then you run up against the builders and they talk about the unit costs and the scale and the textural, and unless you have enough knowledge of that also to have at least a give and take, then programmatic integrity is not finally enough. Even with the approval, I would argue, of the highest, granting authority in the program.
Once you get your program up, there's need for a facility that conforms to the type of program that you're designing. The other way around, if you start with building the facility, what happens is that architects, politicians, bureaucrats start conforming to the mental model that they have for what a school should look like. And therefore, your design gets pushed back and you backslide into what already exists.
I remember having design meetings and the charrettes in which we were talking about what are the community needs, what would the community like to see in this facility. If the community is going to use this facility, what types of amenities should be included in it.
The energies involved to bring on the necessary community leaders, as in, and I'm talking first about the council people leadership, the mayor's office, mediating then between the state's interest in the school and the city's interest in the school, and making sure that those people who had to sell, defend, and own what was eventually going to be a neighborhood exercise were included from the beginning, had rights to it all the way through it. And I think the final test of that is when you finally break ground and then you open, and that same community sits back and says, this is our school.
Once we found a construction manager that everyone was comfortable with, we could negotiate our bids and our prices because we were doing it through the construction management contract, which already had a fixed number on it. And that allowed us a lot of latitude to move, and we didn't have to take the low bidder. As I said, who everyone usually knows is not necessarily the best bidder, or the most qualified to do your job.
The other thing that we really overcome was the minority participation. To have this facility constructed today with 41% minority participation is unheard of.
The buildings also relate to the neighborhood because the scale of the buildings blends in with the scale of the homes in the surrounding neighborhood. There are also no fences or barriers to try and keep people out. The layout of the campus is set up to welcome people, not to exclude anyone.
In a way, you could say that this is a public park. It's a public park with buildings around it that can serve certain hours of the day as school and other hours of the day as a community center. So you get 2 for 1, same investment. It's the same taxpayer, by the way. Why not?
For a state project, to come in under budget on time is unheard of. There's basically no change orders on this project.
And I have every reason to believe this is probably one of the greatest economic development exercises in community development that I've ever been associated with in 30 years of, quote, building high schools.
We had an educational process ourselves because until dealing with you people, we were double-loaded corridor schools. And, you know, when we look at our schools now, I know I do and Ted does, we look at them with a slightly different philosophy. If the educators could get the philosophy that you have and that your faculty has into the public school educators' philosophy, I think we would see a major change in the design of schools in this country.